Have is a motion to approve the agenda. Have a motion, please. Oh,
The motion reads that the agenda be approved as presented.
We don't have anybody for mover or seconder, Jamie, and Jim to seconder. All in favor of the motion? It is carried. Thank you. Next, we have a motion for our minutes of October the 25th, 2023. We have a mover and a seconder. I'll ask for Jim to move it and Jamie to second it. Yeah.
The motion reads that the minutes of the meeting, including the in-camera minutes held October 25th, 2023, be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Any questions or any errors or omissions? All in favor of the motion then? Motion's carried. Does anyone have a conflict or any pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we're going to move to our presentation delegation, and there's consent items. There's no presentation delegation consent items, and there's no motion for any of the 5.1 or 5.2, and we have the Ministry of Solicitor General. Anybody want to talk about anything before we move to 6.1? Seeing none. We have the OPP report October to December 2023, and we have a motion for that one. Disperse. Have a mover, please.
Sorry, the motion reads that the OPP report for October to December 2023 be accepted for information purposes.
Motion for that. Jim? Any? Jim. Jim and Jim. You almost Jim there, Jamie. The 3 J's. All in favor of that motion, please. It's carried. Okay, is there any discussion on that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. For today's report in item 6.1, I have brought Acting Staff Sergeant Alicia Birch and Staff Sergeant Derek McClenahan with me today to present on the report. But before we do, I would just like to extend my welcome to Jim McDonnell for joining the board. Jim, we're very happy to see you join the board. Certainly all of your experience will enhance the board and provide some good oversight for us, and we're hoping you bring some great ideas, and certainly your connections within the provincial government, I'm sure, will be an assistance in guiding us in some future discussions on some of the things we would like to accomplish as a board and as a detachment. So welcome. Just starting you off, Mr. Chair, with just starting at page 11 of 73, I did try and, as this is sort of a bit of our last quarter Q4 report for 2023, I did try and include some photos of some of the things that have been occurring over not just that quarter, but certainly over the course of the year, just trying to, a picture tells 1,000 words, and I wanted to certainly highlight some of the good work that was going on within the detachment by the members. Obviously, the auto theft trend continues right across Canada. It has been a huge issue right across Canada. It's being discussed at the federal level. There are lots of great ideas ongoing. But we certainly hope that those ideas translate into positive actions to curb this trend of auto theft. Certainly in our area, the number of motor vehicles that are being stolen in the area is consistent. It's not hugely, we're not seeing it trend upward. And we're not one of the areas that is being affected the most in the province by stolen vehicles. Where we do lead the province, and from the picture, is the continuation of recovered stolen vehicles. Our geographic location and the time when our officers are out there and the investment our officers have put, this is a perfect example. This is a 9 o'clock in the morning along the 401. You can see the tow trucks. You can see the cruisers. It is, we are recovering stolen motor vehicles, a couple, 3 at least on a weekly basis, coming through our area, and that is just an absolute drop in the bucket. Again, we are hoping to see some plans that have tangible actions that can be applied to start curbing this this trend that is affecting all of Ontario, and quite frankly, you know, taking up resources that the OPP has, taking up a significant amount of resources where we could be better applying them elsewhere through policing in the county. As I'm happy to report that for the final year over year, we've seen another 20% increase in our traffic safety statistics. I won't get too much into that, as that Staff Sergeant Birch will be speaking about that, but I just wanted to report on that. 138 continues to be a focal point of our traffic safety activities. Just so that, you know, we're staying on top of that, we're messaging that constantly, because we want to ensure that, you know, we have the real statistics to show, but also that the public sees that perception, right, that we're out there on a consistent basis, and we're really, you know, working to change those driver behaviors on the 138, given the challenges of that highway. Finally, I would just like to highlight in the beginning of the report for the board the great thanks the auxiliary unit had. Jim, you were not here, but in the Q3 report, for the first time, the board was able to provide some funds to the auxiliary report for their annual Christmas party. To their knowledge, Al Jodouin, who was a 40-year member, has never had a Christmas party paid for him, ever. And it's always been member-driven. Thank you again, Mr. Chair, for attending with your wife. All of the members were extremely grateful for that donation on behalf of the board, and I know it is extremely motivating for them to know that they are supported by the board in that way. It was a really, really nice thank you, and it was a really, really nice evening for everybody involved. So my thanks to the board and to the counties for allotting those funds. As you can see in my consistent reports, the auxiliary unit is always doing a tremendous amount of work to support the community service activities throughout the counties, and really enhance the presence of the OPP throughout the counties. And without them, you know, I think we would struggle to have that same level of community engagement. So really a great thanks. It was really well appreciated by the members of the auxiliary unit. I will just bring you over to page 31 of 73. Obviously, just bring to attention of the board that the fire on Malibu Lane was quite a significant event, made not only Ontario headlines, but made some national headlines. We are extremely fortunate that the officers that responded at that time took such quick action to evacuate the homes. I don't know, for those of you on the board that have a familiarity with Malibu Lane and how the houses are, you know, the eavesdrops basically touch, and they are all heated with propane. So the propane tanks are in very close proximity. So the houses that did catch fire, and very tragically, we did see a loss of life in one of the homes, but we are very, very fortunate that the responding officers were able to go door to door throughout Malibu Lane and get people out of those houses, and that the Glengarry Fire Service was able to get resources there in an appropriate amount of time and get those fires under control, because we could have seen a much bigger inferno, and the potential for risk of loss of life could have been much, much higher. So we've certainly taken the time to recognize everybody that was involved on that day through our internal system, through our internal award system. That includes the Glengarry Fire Service, South Glengarry Fire Service, for their quick actions. Again, Malibu Lane, just to give you an idea where the fire was, they can't even get a fire truck down that far. So it was certainly a very challenging situation, and we're very, very fortunate that they know that area and were able to respond in the way that they did and deal with the fire in the way that they did. I'll take your attention over now to page 41 of 73, and I will turn it over to Acting Staff Sergeant Birch to provide the report.
Morning. So we're really happy and encouraged to see that our fatalities and personal injury accidents are actually declining. From October to December of 2023, you'll see there were 4 fatalities in 2022 and none in 2023. Overall, between 2022 and 2023, there was a 64% decrease in fatalities. Personal injury accidents as well, there was an 11% decrease between 2022 and 2023. The collisions, when you break them down, there was 13 compared in 2022 to 5, just 5 in 2023. One being an off-road vehicle in 2022, none this year, which is great, and nothing related to the usual causal factors that we can see of speeding or alcohol related. That's all decreased. There's been no motorized snow vehicle fatalities or serious occurrences in 2023 compared to one that you saw in 2022, or sorry, none actually. Well, there's some correlation between our increased enforcement activities and the reduction that we're seeing. There's also other causal factors such as environmental factors. This year, I'm sure we're going to see a lot less with the winter that we're having. A lot less snowstorms means a lot less collisions for us, which is great. There's also increase in our education and enforcement out there, right? We're putting out the word, being more visible out there. Working with the counties and municipalities to address any identify potential environmental factors that may have contributed to any of the collisions as well. So when you look on, I believe it'd be the next page, I don't have it marked on mine. It's talking about the primary causal factors. So you see speeding, again, nothing's been attributed to speeding last year in 2023. Alcohol, again, nothing in 2023. Wildlife, inattentive driving as well. So that's encouraging. Seatbelt being a contributing factor would be 1 in 2023 compared to 2022, where we had 5. When you look at the next graph, it talks about our enforcement activities. Again, there's an increase across the board in our enforcement activities with Highway Traffic Act charges being up 14% compared to 2022. Criminal code traffic, non-criminal code traffic, and other violations. So our RIDE program significantly increased in 2023 compared to 2022, which we're very proud of. The officers are getting out there and making themselves more visible and are really active in trying to curb impaired driving. As well as our traffic stops have also increased 19% over 2022. So they've been out there actively enforcing, which has been great to see, and we're going to continue that trend. Seatbelts, when you look at traffic-related charges, speeding, 1% increase in speeding charges from 2022. Seatbelt, 9% increase. And we see, impaired driving and distracted driving is going down. So those are all encouraging stats for us.
Thank you, Alicia. Mr. Chair, for the remainder of the report, pages 45 through, through 58, I'll turn it over to Staff Sergeant Derek McClanahan to go over that portion of the report and highlight anything of importance.
Morning, everyone. So we'll start off on page 45 there. And if we look at the drug charges, our possession charges, the percentage looks like as if it's up by a fair bit at the 15%. In actuality, it's only up by 2 cases. Trafficking, we're down a fair bit. We went from 17 to 6. And then importing and production, we were at 0 for 2023. In regards to our clearance rates for violent crimes, you'll see that we were at 62% in 2022 and 69% in 2023. And then property crimes, we went up from 14.8% to 18.6%. And drug crimes, we went up from 67% to 76%. On the next page there, actually on page 47, I'll just look at a couple more specific occurrences. So our sexual assaults, they're at 69, whereas year to date last year we were at 57, so they're up a bit. However, our assaults are I don't want to call them minor assaults, but the less serious ones at the level 1, they're down from 150 to 135. I'll draw your attention to the next page there, page 49. At the top, the theft of motor vehicles. You'll see in 2022 we were at 61. Year to date, and then on the theft of motor vehicles in 2023 we're at 47. And what I would anticipate that number to be down from is I think we've gotten so good in SDG at the process of recovering these stolen motor vehicles. We have a process that we do regular training with our recruits, with our 2ICs, with our sergeants. And we have a strategy that is just so effective that our understanding now is instead of coming into SDNG, they're heading up 416 and 417 around through Quebec sometimes. So we're still getting, as the inspector stated, we're still getting a lot of them, but I think the word's out that some of them are going around us because we're just so efficient at catching them now. Yes?
We took a shuttle back, and I was talking to the person driving the shuttle from in Florida last night, and he said that a lot of the vehicles that are being stolen right out of the airports. He said that's why more people are using the shuttle services, because of that reason. They don't want it there. If they have a late model pickup truck or whatever is on the. But I'm sure you know about that, right? So, and that's not. Maybe that's why they're going out there, because you guys are doing a good job on this side of the.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. There's a lot of different, like they can cover a lot of ground in some of those large parking lots, right, where they're traveling down and seeing which vehicles they want to target, and then come back, in the middle of the night or later to grab them. So. When vehicles are hidden away in garages, they're a little harder to see, but when they're in these open parking lots, they just have to travel through quickly, and they can identify which ones and collect a few of them in a bulk fashion. But the interesting thing that, as the inspector was saying there earlier, is when they get stolen in Toronto, often the people aren't realizing that they're stolen until they wake up in the morning and their vehicle's gone. So then by the time they call the police and it gets put on the CPIC system as stolen, as they're coming into our area now, our in-car cameras, which is we call it the ALPR, which is the automated license plate recognition system, then it's picking up the stolen motor vehicles when they're going by, because it just. When they were coming through, say, Trenton and then Napanee, it might not have been uploaded on the system yet as stolen. But when they enter into our area now, our ALPR system will pick them up. So it's it's about that timeline where the people are waking up, calling the police, getting it registered, and then our systems are picking it up when they're traveling through.
Also, I have a friend that was in Morocco. He said that he's seen a vehicle drive by with Ontario license plates on it. They're not even taking the plates off. Is there any way recovering vehicles that are in another country, or working with another police forces? Or is that
Not
they
that
don't, that's
I'm,
not a,
yeah, once they're on the ships and overseas, it's, there's not much we can do, right? It's, I know it is gathering a lot of government attention, and it sounds like as if hopefully there'll be additional resources deployed to some of the ports, but, and then we have projects on that the OPP's working with partners as well, and yeah, hopefully we see some changes in and around that.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, just a question. You see the technology now, especially on the toll roads, that are actually startling. Like, if you happen to go through a toll, which I can personally vouch for, you get a reminder in the mail about 24 hours later that you owe them $1 or whatever the fee was. But they obviously can read those plates. Why are we not putting scanners on these highways so that we have 24-hour exposure versus having to rely on you guys to be out there with the patrol cars? Is that just not logistically?
Yeah, so in regards to the toll roads, yeah, it's a great idea. I just don't know that that those systems are they're not speaking to our systems. I'm not sure with the toll roads there in like in the 407. Aren't they privately owned? Are you aware, Inspector?
Mr. Chair. So Jim, our toll roads in Ontario are all managed by private companies. So for billing purposes for the tolls, they do have access to the ministry's database for only that. It's simply a cost concern, and I believe that they could implement that through a mobile system. They could, but it would then be, what would be the distribution method for getting that information to the various police services across Ontario? So once if they had a camera system, so there are several different layers they would have to work through. There is also the very large concern from the provincial government about the perception of, they start putting cameras on our larger highways. Is that the return of photo radar? As you've seen, the government does have an appetite to very, very, very slowly implement it, where we've seen it in community safety zones. The municipality have the option of putting it in select community safety zones, and I believe there's going to be a northern project where they are going to be putting it in very limited areas in the north, where they've identified areas where speeding is a big causal factor in serious collisions. But again, it's a money and implementation thing, and as I'm sure you can understand, putting together something of that magnitude would be quite an undertaking for the government, and it would take some time to do. They certainly have the technology to do it, but if you let the government do it, it might not be as speedy as a private company could do, similar to the 407.
Thank you.
Just a little bit lower on that page, still on 49 there. Just draw your attention to our theft under charges are up. They're at 43 year to date, whereas in 2022 they were at 26. And then I'll take you forward to page 55, and I just had highlighted under fires. In 2023, we're at 36, and in 2022, we were at 48. So the fires are down, which is very good. And then I'll draw your attention to page 57. Again, it's a different way of us tracking it, but the vehicle recovered. Again, we were at 26 in 2023. In 2022, we were in 8. And then Just down a little bit further on the page, neighbor disputes. We were at 262 in 2023, and 2022 we were 249, so trending fairly normally on that. And yeah, if there was any further questions on any of those statistics.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I will ask yourself, I know you just got off the plane, and just for the rest of the board, has everybody had a chance to review the report that was provided by Madam Clerk? And I know I provided an updated one yesterday. I had failed to add add an option, so there was an additional option there. But had the board had the opportunity to review the report and take into consideration some of the options that I had provided to the board? Obviously open to discussion and the feedback. In your newest report, I have highlighted item number 6 as my preferred option. But again, I leave it up to the board for discussion. I would say that my least favorite is option number 5, simply because with the for 2024, there will be $10,000 available to the board to distribute to community partners, and we could pick those same ones. They have already had a donation in 2023 from us as well. And pending any questions from you, Mr. Chair, or any members of the board, again, number 6 is my favorite one. I certainly feel that 6A, with regards to the public materials, is, as you've known since I've been detachment commander, my desire to have more board engagement. But with that board engagement, I also feel that we should be publicizing the work that the board does with the OPP and towards the community. And I would like to see some publicity materials, a banner, big check, just some things that we can use as publicity materials to get out in the traditional and social media, just to really highlight the community, the engagement that the board has, because I think it's very important that the community realize all the great work that the board does in supporting the detachment in the community. I realize B is a bit of a different request. It is, so to give the board a bit of an idea, our detachment in Long Sault was built back in 2010. We're now 14 years old. It is a fantastic building. It has been immaculately maintained by the landlord, the South Township of South Stormont. We could not be more pleased. But there are certain elements of the detachment that are not covered by the OPP and are not covered by the municipality within their contract with Infrastructure Ontario. When the detachment was built as part of a donation from the builder did provide a big screen TV for the community boardroom. It was 55 inches. It is now 13 years old, and it is small, and it is starting to fail on us. Because it is a community boardroom, we host community meetings all the time in that boardroom. I suggest to the board, I would like to upgrade, replace the television, because it is one of the, when people visit Long Sault and they're doing community presentations, it is one of the areas that people say, I either can't see or I can't get my media to connect to. So we are definitely in need of something bigger and that is more, that the technology is up to date to 2024's standard. With item number C, I realize that this is through, the current funding is through a grant, but I would say that if the grant does not come through, there is probably no better place where the seized funds could be applied directly back to victims of crime than through this program. Like, we can see right through our eyes that, you know, the seized funds, where we have taken them through forfeitures and through through the criminal element and turn them into funds, we would be redirecting those right back into, you know, a community service and a program that directly supports victims, where we can all see right in our own eyes, because the victim advocate works right in the detachment, we can see the effect it is having on victims of crime directly. So I don't really see, in my opinion, it would be, you know, there's a direct relation taking these funds and putting them back into a community project like that supports victims of crime. Open to discussion from the board.
Go ahead, Jim, please.
Through the chair, and Mark, we've got another great report, which I think we've seen consistently here, but one of the areas that is heading in the wrong direction is the sexual assault, and I think you've identified that. And we've talked about this in the past where, you know, you're going to have pro-action out there in conjunction with the school boards. Is this funding opportunity show any advantage to supporting those programs in any dimension, or are you pretty comfortable that we're making the progress you want?
Mr. Chair, might I divulge a little bit into item 6.5? There's a bit of crossover there, Jim. Yeah, is that acceptable, Mr. Chair? So with regards to 6.2 and 6.5, so I can give you some updates with regards to the strategic plan, because I know we, as a board, we had set some of those. So I know one of those items was to support Naomi House in their transitional housing project. I did not include Naomi House in this because I reached out to their executive director. At the moment, they have enough funds to move forward with the project. They have consistently taken the donations that the board have given them, and they have placed them in their board reserves. So although they would be very grateful from an additional donation for the board, they did say that they felt that the board had given them plenty, and they have a lot right now to move forward with the project. They will be looking for our support later on, but not directly at this time. With regards to the sexual assaults, we have begun those conversations through one of our community safety officers. We'll be implementing another community safety officer next week, where we'll be getting together with their direct supervisor to ensure that is implemented. Victim Services has also received a grant of $30,000 to diminish human trafficking and sexually based offenses in the school. So we have partnered with Victim Services to come up with a curriculum through our CSOs and through Victim Services in partnership to be delivered in the schools. And we'll start to see those results coming up in the spring.
Okay, thank you. That's good.
Mr. Chair, as far as the seized funds, I leave it up to the board if there are any questions any other questions with regards to that, or any option they would like to go through.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm fine with the option that's been highlighted. I think we should move forward with that.
Yeah, it's fine.
So through you, Mr. Chair, I do have a motion if you'd like to put that forward. It reads that the SDG Police Services Board approve option number 6 from the Detachment Commander's Seized Funds Report dated February 14th, 2024.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much to the board, and I will certainly report. But as far as C, I know there's a bit of a holding pattern there, but in our Q1 meeting, I will be able to report back to the board. And again, if the funds are not, if the grant does continue, and we are able to, it's being paid for through the grant, the $20,000 will just be put back into we'll have $30,000 for the board to decide, and I can bring up some new options back to the board at that time during our Q1 meeting. Thank you very much for that.
Be distributed before the next meeting?
At this time, Mr. Chair, I don't know. So option C will depend. Option C will depend on whether or not the ministry provides another funding opportunity for the grant. I've reached out to the ministry contacts, and they are still deciding what they're doing about the grants, whether it will be a call for new applications or there will be an extension given. They've never done an extension before, so the process of doing that, they're not sure. Because of the shortness of the current grants that are ongoing with only 1 year, and basically we only had 6 months upon receipt of them, the ministry is struggling a little bit on figuring out the best way to proceed forward. So, and they had no idea on timelines again. So they're hoping to have answers to us for March, so that we are not in the same position we were last year. So we will have a definitive answer for you at our Q1 meeting.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll draw your attention to page 62 in your agenda package. I've just put together a quick information report on an update on the incoming implementation of the Community Safety and Policing Act. As you know, you've seen multiple correspondence now that the Act will come into place as of April 1st, 2024. And what this new legislation will do, it will replace the current Police Services Act and nullify the board. The board will cease to exist under the Police Services Act, and our current OPP contract with the OPP in the province will cease to exist as well. But in terms of changes that affect us, our OPP contract, though it will no longer exist with the province and the OPP, our billing and provision of OPP municipal policing services will continue. Nothing will change there. In terms of the board, as of April 1st, this board as it sits right now will no longer exist, but leading up to that April 1st date, I'll be taking a report to County Council to reappoint the council appointments and the council appointee appointments to the board, create the new board under the new legislation, and then also I'll hopefully be able to solidify the provincial appointments as well. The Municipal Policing Bureau has notified us as little as late as this week, stating that provincial appointments that are current will most likely be reappointed in the spring. So hopefully we'll be able to have a meeting later in April or early May with the new board. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, thanks, Kim.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I would, and just through yourself, if the current board does, there is a provision that for the new board that all the members will need to have completed criminal record checks. Those can be. I wasn't looking directly at you. I didn't stare. I didn't stare across the table. So the criminal record checks are currently done through, they're not done at a local level, just for the board's attention. They are done through opp.ca. They will, and they do take about 2 weeks to complete. So,
So through you, Mr. Chair, that's a really good point. I plan on bringing a report to the March 20th County Council meeting, March 18th County Council meeting. So I'll work with you maybe next week to get that link sent out so that we can get the record checks submitted, and that'll all be done before the appointments at Council.
the board, there should be no fee, as it will be a regular criminal record check, and because you are part of the board, there will be no fee associated with it. But I will clarify that, Mr. Chair, through Kimberly, just to make sure. And if there is any type of fee, we will figure out how we can what we can do about that.
Next, we have the Mobile Crisis Response Team, amendment to the SDG County's Financial Support Agreement. I'll ask Maureen if she would speak to this, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have been working with the team at the Cornwall Community Hospital to try and come up with an agreement that works for both the municipality and the hospital. So maybe just to provide a little bit of background, this resource that we've had on board has been, I think, based on the feedback we've had from Mark Hemrick, has been invaluable to the mental health requirement to respond to certain calls. County Council has recognized that this is now going to start to form permanent funding within our municipal budgets. So drafting an agreement is just a little bit, the only complicated matter is that we're going to have a full-time resource that's going to be designated to do this effort or this work on behalf of the municipality. So we want to make sure that our agreement is fair with respect to if we wanted to unwind that agreement or if we wanted to end it, understanding that there's an employee that has been recruited to be able to fill the position. So we've provided a copy of a draft agreement in the package today. We were hoping to have some feedback from them for this meeting, but they've indicated they won't be able to provide it to us until later in the week. So we'll have to come back to the police board at their next meeting with an update. I think that the agreement is going to be fine. It'll be a solution that will be able to work for both parties, but we just want to make sure that we provide ample notice if we wanted to start to get out of those arrangements.
But
No, there is not, Mr. Chair. I will certainly, during our Q1 meeting, the update to the strategic plan, the first update in our strategic plan will be available, although it will not be published officially. I will be able to provide a full update to the board where we sit.
before we move into an in-camera session, is there anything that anybody wants to bring up regarding any of the things that was involved in the reports that was said? Anything? Jim?
Yeah, just going back to the stolen cars. I know in our area, a lot of them are, or not the majority of them, happen in Quebec. Is there a good rapport between the two provinces, or when it comes to stolen cars, or is, I know one of the councillors here in County Council had their truck stolen just in the last few weeks, so.
There we go. Yeah, yes, there is. Anytime that we're in a position that, if we're in a position that we're not going to be able to intercept the vehicle, or there becomes a risk to public safety, then we'll disengage, and then we immediately contact the Sûreté de Quebec there, and they get down to the highway and have. From what we understand, have good luck with intercepting as well. But it's just making sure that when you are going to get yourself into a position to intercept, that you have to have plenty of time to get the officers down into location to prepare for it. And we've gotten a lot better at making sure that our officers are doing it safely for them, because there's so many elements that we have to take into consideration, right? It's not just the safety of the public, it's the safety of our officers and the safety of the suspects that we have to keep all of this at the forefront of our minds as to what's the safest way to intercept and make sure that the public's safe. So basically, to answer your question, if we're not in a position to intercept, then we forward it on, and they have good success as well.
Mr. Chair, I might also add that we are involved in a multi-jurisdictional, interprovincial task force with regards. That task force is just ramping up, but we are involved with a multi-jurisdictional, interprovincial task force in regards to the stolen vehicle epidemic. And I'm confident to say that they are working very hard and hoping to see them publicly announce some of the fruits of their labor, where you're seeing some interprovincial work.
Is there anything? Okay, go ahead, Jim.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and I can't miss this opportunity, because if you're establishing a relationship there that's going to be mutual, I think it's also a phenomenal opportunity that we take a look at the speeding tickets that we don't seem to be able to collect from both provinces, and if we could ever establish a rapport, some of the financial constraints that our bordering municipalities carry would be greatly reduced. So if you get to the relationship that those discussions can be had, I think it would be time well spent.
I would most certainly agree with you. Jim. I know that some of my colleagues in the SQ, whom are personal friends, feel the exact same way. I don't want to say it's above. I don't want to say it's above my pay grade, because I definitely don't believe that. I don't like that saying at all. I would say that we collectively bring those things together up as much as we can. Ensuring that the issue stays at a forefront.
Thanks.
Anything under new business? Seeing none. Move into camera. We'll let you read the motion.
It reads that the SDG Police Services Board proceeding camera pursuant to Section 34(4)B of the Police Services Act for a matter related to facilities.
Thank you. Mover, please. Jamie. Seconder. Jim Wirt.